Hi, welcome to Lovin Sheila, the podcast. Today, I'm going to talk to you about why intention in relationship matters. I want to introduce myself. I'm Sheila. I am your average career woman with a family who's trying to manage it all. And along the way, I've learned a few things, and mostly through hard knocks. So what I try and do here on Lovin Sheila, the podcast, is share my experiences with you in hopes that you can avoid some of the pitfalls that I have experienced, and you can learn the lessons that I've learned without having to go through it, to apply some of the wisdom I've gained over the years to your lives. And I hope this will help you. So let's start with infatuation versus intention, and in terms of avoiding a potential partner that is caught up in infatuation and not real intention for your relationship. Someone's infatuation can manifest in just them sexualizing you, possibly adoring you, putting the mash on you, like rushing you, and being extra attracted to you, maybe even obsessed with you. However, these things do not translate into intention and the possibility of relationship. And so we have to understand these and make sure that we categorize them as they are. Someone's infatuation for you versus someone's intention for you. All right, we have to reframe it to ensure that we understand the difference. In putting ourselves first and understanding our needs, we have to recognize what is enjoyable for a season versus what is sustainable for a lifetime. Before we take this journey, we have to understand if we really want a relationship with one person. Are we ready? And this is a question that I was asked. I was asked this by my therapist, and actually she said, why do you want a relationship with one person? And this sent me to buy a whiteboard and to write it out and put the question on there. Why do you want a relationship with one person? Because according to her, my actions were not aligned with me wanting a relationship with one person. So I really had to evaluate and get to my own intent, is to see if that's what I wanted. Did I want a relationship, or did I just want to have fun? And that was the question she put to me. What is it? So before I proceeded, I had to answer that question. So I wrote it on my wall, and I started to put little answers to that question there, and try and see if there were any deterrents or detractions from it. So I wrote my reasons why. And we all have to have a why in life. There's a why. I think there's a why for everything. I had to make sure that my life and my actions were aligning with my why and what I was saying that I wanted in my life. It's easy to get caught up dating and responding to DMs and dating apps. The attention is very alluring. The constant flood of attention can distract you from your true intention. So with all these different stimuli, it's very important to tune in and to understand and to align yourself with what you say you actually want. Because these distractions are just that, distractions, and they can prevent you from getting what you want long term. And you can also get caught up in infatuation. Now, I never thought of infatuation. As a woman of my age, I felt like that is not something that I would get caught up in. I'm beyond that. I know love and I know real attraction and interest and those things. But let's just talk about infatuation. And I sought to define it, and I will define it for you. So let me look to my notes. It's a strong feeling of passion or admiration for someone or something, often characterized by an intense but short-lived obsession. It is often seen as foolish or extravagant passion that focuses on idealized version of the person rather than the reality of who they are. While it can be part of a relationship, it's typically not a substitute for deep love and commitment. So that's our working definition of infatuation. And so as I look back over my life and over some of my dating experiences, I have found that I have been infatuated with some, and some have been infatuated with me. I think for the purpose, and I'll delve a little bit into both of those. I'll give an example of both of those. The problem with infatuation is at the time you don't, or I didn't realize that's what it was. I thought it was some kind of real feeling, but it wasn't. It was a short-lived obsession with the person. And the reason it works for me is because I have a tendency to create a fairy tale, idealize things, or romanticize things, or just fantasize about what I want things to be. So infatuation kind of, I'm prime for the taking of infatuation. So that's why mindfulness and discernment is very important for me, so I can be present and in tune and recognize things for what they are. And that's why I'm sharing this with all of us, so that we can all be in tune with this and not be taken by infatuation, because infatuation can be a deterrent for us getting what we truly want. And that's the objective here, is we're creating the life we want to get what we want, and we don't want to be distracted. For me, I was entangled with infatuation because it felt good to my flesh. It felt good to my ego. It was a temporary edification. It lifted me up. It made me think very highly of myself because this person was adoring me and complimenting me, and it just felt good. And so I went with it. It's very alluring. But like I said in Lovin Sheila Shorts, episode 39, the situationship with yourself, it has no legs. Like in the definition, it says it's a short-term thing. And in my situation, it had no legs. It was going nowhere. So though it was fulfilling, it was fun for a season, it had no legs. It stayed right there with us just being, having this grandiose feeling of, oh, we're really enjoying ourselves and we're happy. But if you look a little deeper into that, you realize that it's just superficial and there's nothing beyond the surface. And so we have to be aware of that. So even though you may be having a great time, you may be enjoying someone's company, you have to understand, what is this built on? What is the foundation of our engagement? Is it that we have intentions to build a life together, to make a commitment to one another, or just we have intentions to have as much fun as we can and to experience as many things as possible? Now, if you're at that stage in your life and that's what you want, you just want to experience some good times, have at it. But that's why I said it's important to know where you are and to know what you want. Because if that's not what you want, there's no need in entangling yourself with this infatuation and this temporary obsession. It's better to move on and get to something that is real and substantial. Because if you're looking for a lifetime partner, and when I say lifetime partner, I mean a spouse, typically infatuation is not going to land there. It typically explodes. Now, this is not 100% of the time, but in my experience, very often. That's why it's important to know what you want so you can bypass these infatuation space fillers, because that's what I look at. There's just a space filler. It's like, okay, I have time, they have time, let's spend our time together. And in the meantime, you're not working toward what you really want long term. And so if you want to know what's important to you, you'll see the way you spend your time, the activities you participate in, that will let you know. So if we're spending our time with people who are temporary, who are just an infatuation, who we don't see a future with, or we don't feel a future with, then that's a space filler. If you want to know what a space filler is, that is it. And they do meet a desire. It may be affection, attention, or etc. But that's time that we can be spending on developing ourselves and evolving to different levels to where we realize what makes us entertain that, what is missing inside of us that would allow us to entertain that, so that we can move forward positively, focus on what we want to achieve. Hence, we need to be clear on any suitor's intention for us. Obviously, like I said, I've been guilty of allowing a person my time because they like me, they think I'm pretty, find me interesting, but that doesn't qualify a person to receive your time. And I think that we need to do an intake of that. You know, I was doing some work the other day, and I had to do an intake form and provide some information. And so when we're talking to people, we should get a feel for that. There should be some indicators of that in the conversation, so that we can ensure they have some intention and not just infatuation, or their intention is actually a good intention, you know, and not a short-term intention, maybe to get you in bed or something. So we have to do our due diligence in identifying different things early on with potential suitors. I've even been taken by infatuation. I was with someone with a friend, and while I was sitting waiting for her, I ran across a man, and we engaged in conversation, and I was like, oh, wow. I was attracted, physically attracted to him. He was everything that I thought I liked in a man. And so we separated and went on, and I was thinking about him. I was like, oh, I gotta find him. So I actually found him on social media, and I sent him a message. That was my first DM, I think, official DM. But anyway, because I'm like, you know, a new woman, I'm trying to be more assertive. Anyhow, so we talked. And after I talked to him and I did my intake, after I had a more personal conversation with him, I was like, nah, he's not for me, because there's no intention, there's no interest, there's no commonality. It was just missing so much beyond the fact that he was physically attractive to me. And so I've come to a point where I'm beyond the physical attraction and the infatuation, because I know that will not lead where I want it to go. So I told my friends, I said, yeah, I like what I see. If he's talking right, it's on, and meaning I may proceed with some type of involvement. But most importantly, he wasn't talking right. So what I'm saying is intention matters. It doesn't matter how physically attracted you are to someone, how everything on the outside might align. It's all about, more importantly, what your intention is for that person and what theirs is for you. And if there's actually some type of connection that you can build upon, because if you can't build on anything, there's no foundation, there's no need to proceed. Another thing I've learned about infatuation is oftentimes it comes with a good degree of chemistry. There are people I've met, and we've had, I guess we were infatuated, and we just had mad chemistry, and we got along, and we vibed, and we felt like we just got each other and all. But I've learned in my experience, and this is probably going to contradict a lot of other folks, chemistry does not equate to a real substantial bond that has intention. You know, there have been people whom I've worked with, and we could connect and we could talk and we got each other's jokes and so forth. Chemistry, you know, but that didn't mean we had to have a relationship. And likewise with people that we're attracted to, we may have chemistry, but chemistry does not form the foundation for a lifelong bond. And I learned that the hard way. And I was recently talking to one of my girlfriends. It's like, I don't want anyone who I have chemistry with. And I mean it. I rather like work at it, at building it, than to have it initially and let it blow up in flames. So chemistry can be very deceptive. It doesn't have having good chemistry with someone does not lead to them having good intentions for where you're going long term. Chemistry is not a catalyst for a long-term relationship. But let's talk about intention. The conversation just hits differently. There are times when I've been hit with intention where I'll say I was a little bored because I wasn't there yet. I wasn't prepared to talk about necessarily the future and where we're going. And, you know, I guess I was shallow. I was just here for I was shallow, or I was distracted with something I was infatuated with, possibly, if I'm being honest. But the intention comes, I feel like it comes a little differently. It's a little more steady. not necessarily exciting. And I guess that's the part that would always distract me. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't a thriller. It didn't sweep me off my feet. It was just like a steady flow. And I had to evolve to that. I wasn't always that girl. There was times when I needed excitement. I needed thrills. I guess I needed some toxicity in order to be excited about something, or just something just to keep me a little off my toes. Standing on 2 feet and on solid ground, and sometimes it felt a little boring to me. And I had to evaluate that. I had to look at myself very closely, because the conversation with intention goes a lot differently. It's not short term. It's not talking about today, what we're doing today and everything that is right now. It's talking a little bit about the future. It's including you in those things, and it has legs. The purpose is to go somewhere and not just to stay right here and enjoy this moment in this time or this period or this season. It's to build something to move forward with. It comes with clarity, purpose, interest, and even patience. It's a slow burn. It may not happen like immediately. It's taking the time to get to know a person. It's being focused, cutting out all the distractions and saying, I think I want to focus my attention here because I see something. It comes with understanding, communication with understanding, to know where the person is coming from and meeting them where they are, because we all have life experiences, and sometimes based on those life experiences we have to take it slow. We have to be reassured. We have different needs that need to be met before we find a safe place. And so in intention, I believe that there's not a serious rush, because at the end of the day, that person knows they're not going anywhere, and you also know you are available. So intention is a complete contrast to infatuation, where infatuation is very quick, it's very passionate, it's very sudden, it's seasonal. Whereas intention is very loving, it's kind, it shows interest. Intention has longevity in mind. With infatuation, it's kind of fast-paced and obsession, and with intention, it could be a slow burn, something that happens over time. And I have seen intention go awry, just like infatuation. I've seen it because they've wanted too much from you immediately. They wanted to make you their wife before you had even cared for them, or before you could even be their girlfriend, or even make a commitment, or even go on a few dates with them. Sometimes intention can go too far because they get ahead of you. And I think good intention is not putting pressure and not rushing a person, but being patient. I had to do some analysis in my own life, because I've shared with you all that words, I can be drawn with words. I can be sold the dream. And in infatuation, if someone's talking and sharing all these things they think about you, you're like, yeah. But we have to remember, those are just words. And just because someone thinks you're beautiful, attractive, fun, whatever, I don't know what they might say or they say they adore you, does not mean that they want a life with you. We need to be clear on what they've said. And we need to not put weight on those things because they're trivial. A person thinking you're attractive, that you have a nice figure, that your pulchritude is alluring to them, does not warrant a relationship or someone that's willing to commit to you. It means just that. They appreciate your pulchritude. They want to participate in whatever way they can expeditiously with your physical essence, but not necessarily do they want to have a long-term involvement, relationship with you. So it's very important what they are not saying in this infatuation. What they're not saying is they're not talking about how they want to spend their life with you, what they want to do with you, how they want to include you in their relationships and their family. Those things are omitted. The truth of the matter is we can't really have a relationship without including a person in our lives in some way. And if they're not comfortable with doing that, yet they're obsessed with you in some way, recognize that that might just be infatuation. Because if they were feeling that way about you and they thought so highly of you, they might grasp at intention. What can this be? What are the possibilities? How far can we go? Again, I can't say it enough. I've talked about clarity. I said intention comes with clarity. And the opposite, I guess, of clarity, well, the opposite of clarity is confusion, or omission, we're going to say. And a lot of times in infatuation, there is an omission of what the future is, of what intentions one may have. So be aware of what is not being stated. Don't be drawn in on all the positives, because, you know, why wouldn't someone like you? Why wouldn't they think you're beautiful or attractive or smart or whatever? But that's a given. How do we intertwine these things to move forward? Well, first of all, to build a foundation and to move forward and to build something. Okay, so it has to have some intention beyond just the initial visualizing of who this person is or some of their great characteristics and repeating them to them in forms of compliment. Similar to the fellow that I did my intake on when I sought him out, I told my friend, I said, if he's talking right, I'm in. And in my opinion, he wasn't, and I was out. Now, I say that to say I've grown, because there was a time when I was like, okay, well, I think he looks good, so I'm going to move forward with this. But, you know, I've grown. I recognize that intention is everything, and infatuation is just a emptiness that I cannot participate with. I'm human. I'm prone to that, and that's why I said I have to tune in, and we have to tune in. We can't just be moved, you know, by our flesh. We have to be discerning. We have to apply wisdom. You know, we have to have some depth to our thoughts and to our engagements with people, so that we make good decisions and not just decisions from our flesh or infatuation. Now we have experience. We are wiser, and we need to walk in that. And I am clear on my intentions, and my intentions is not just to have fun with someone for a season, go out with them and let them be arm candy or me be arm candy. It's having real intentions for my future and to walk in something that is long-term, that has legs, that's going somewhere. Your intentions matter, interests matter, and you need to make sure that those are applied on both sides. That person has good intentions, has good interest in you, and that you have good intentions and that you have good interest in them. It matters. And I'll sum this up. What I learned is that we need to avoid space fillers. There are a lot of things that we can do with our time that uplift us and make us a better person and are positive. We don't have to have people come into our lives who tell us nice things and puff us up, or as my brother would say, glaze you up, and don't really mean you any good. It's just glazing, which is all superficial, and maybe it looks pretty on the outside, but there's no substance to it. We don't need that level of infatuation, so we have to be careful to do a good intake and to make sure that these people have views that align with where we're going. If it's just a matter of, no, you look good and I want to spend some time with you or whatever, something simple like that, we need to make sure that we don't spend too much time with that filling our space, because while they're filling space, we may be missing out on something that is actually meant for us and actually is going somewhere. So you need to know where you are And if you're in the fun stage, that's fine. Be in the fun stage. But if you're in the more serious stage where you're looking for a commitment and something real, be aware and know that the intentions do matter. Do your intake. They have to qualify for your time. We're not just here to throw it out. I know there's a lot of distractions, like I said, with dating apps and with DMs and just meeting people, whatever, but don't be distracted. Don't let the attention deter you from your real intentions or their true intention. Just be alert, be aware, be mindful, stay tuned into you. Never get so caught up that you don't understand what your true wants and needs are. And I'll say it again, chemistry doesn't last. It's not the foundation for lasting relationships. And I know we can get caught up in it, but do your own analysis and your evaluation. Look at the entanglements or involvements that you've had where chemistry was huge and you had great chemistry, and see what chemistry has done. Yeah, let me know. Tell me if I'm wrong. My experience is chemistry is not it. But if you've had great experiences and chemistry was the foundation for your relationship, and you have gone on to have a lasting relationship, let me know, tell me. But I'm gonna say, I'd rather just build on that, build a good chemistry and build that rather than initially feel it, because it's not something that I feel is sustainable for a long-term relationship. And as far as intention, it's going to contribute to your overall well-being. When a person comes into your life with intention, it is not myopic. It's not a single area that they're looking at. They're looking at the complete diaspora of who you are. And they're affecting and impacting and speaking to who you are in totality. They recognize your value and your worth. Just like we should always recognize our value and our worth. They recognize it. They don't play you short. They don't see what they can get away with. Remember, I said it has legs. It has clarity. Instead of chemistry, it might be a slow burn. They are focused. They are understanding. They meet you where you are. They're not rushing you. They have patience. So don't let imposters fill that space. Those people that you might have some level of infatuation with, don't let them fill that space and prevent you from getting to the one who has intention. Because again, I'll say intention matters. Distraction flatters. I just made that up, but it does. The infatuators are distractions and they flatter you. But intention speaks to things that actually matter in your life and builds you up on a solid foundation. And that's what we're looking for, if that's what we're looking for. And back to what I said in the beginning, I had to identify, is that really what I want? And I had to align my actions with what I said I wanted. And so this now is where I've landed. I can truly say this is what I want. And so now it's time to alleviate the imposters, alleviate those that are titillating in some way, but have no long-term purpose in my life, and work toward those that have intentions and that we can work together. And that's where I am, and that's where I want to share with you. If you find yourself here, you may be getting a lot of attention or whatnot, but remember, all attention doesn't matter, but intention does. And focus on those things that align with where you want to go and your purpose, and go in that direction, and leave the space fillers alone. I think it'll just save you time, heartache, and disappointment. My favorite, disappointment. I don't do disappointment well. So that's what I'll leave you with today. Remember, intention matters, and I will see you on the next Lovin Sheila, the podcast. Bye for now.